Welcome to Allies or Enemies. This time we are looking at the Guild of Merchant Explorers, a 1 to 4 player game designed by Matthew Dunston and Brett J. Gilbert that is all about exploring distant lands. Despite its word jumble of a name, the Guild of Merchant Explorers is actually a pretty simple, quick, and snappy game of flipping cards and dropping cubes as you search distant lands for villages, treasure troves, and mystic towers, while you create merchant chains and gain cool exploration powers. But before we delve too deep into these far-flung lands, let's take a look at how it works.
All of the action in the Guild of Merchant Explorers is simultaneous. Each turn starts by flipping an Explore card and then everyone places cubes at the same time. Usually, these cards will show one of the main types of land or sea. As players place cubes, they gain things like coins or treasures. If they fill all spaces in a region, they add a village. If they connect two cities, they make a trade route. If they put a cube on a discovery space, they build a tower. And all of this stuff gains coins in varying amounts. The other kind of Explore action that could turn up is an era card, and these let everyone look at two and choose one of the Investigate cards, which are kind of superpowered Explore cards that are going to be unique to each player. Players will gain one of these a round in each of the first 3 rounds and slot them next to their board, and then trigger it again each time that same era card comes up, which means they really snowball by the last round. After 4 rounds, everyone adds up all of their collected coins, including those gained from the shared goals, and the greatest explorer is named.
For such a simple game, TGOME has a surprising amount of variability. First, there are the 4 different maps that come with the game. Each of these have different sets of goal cards and a bunch of often subtle differences that impact the game in some big ways. Eggcorn accentuates seafaring. Kazan has big, impassable volcanic mountain ranges, and Nadaria has special crystal spaces. But the largest point of variability is the Investigate cards. Each player will gain 3 of these throughout the game, and they are all different and all have a huge impact on how you'll play. These might allow you to do things like explore all sea spaces in a straight line across the entire map, or explore all spaces around a mountain, or triple money you gain, or double treasures. And regardless of what extra thing they let you do, they almost always let you explore a whole bunch of spaces. By the last turn, when you get to trigger 3 of these cards and then re-trigger one a second time, it feels like a huge explosion of exploration, and one that is different for everyone at the table.
Merchants Guild plays for 1 to 4, and it will feel almost exactly the same at all of those counts. Partly, that's because all of the play is simultaneous and turns are quick, but also it is because there is very little player interaction. Everyone has their own board and their own powers, and none of it really impacts anybody else, with the exception of racing to the shared goals, which will score higher for whoever gets to them first. For some, this will be a plus, as you don't really want people messing with your map and your stuff anyway. But for those who do want to cause some trouble, there aren't a lot of opportunities for hijinks here. There is also a solo mode that adds kind of a timer system that covers up the goals as the game progresses. It's a best score mode, but it really does feel like the normal game with almost 0 extra upkeep.
Guild isn't the sort of game that has a bunch of showy stuff in the box. It is a pretty simple package, but the stuff that is there is fairly solid with a few caveats. On the tricky side, the boards are a smidge slippy, so the cubes do get bounced around from time to time, although it is pretty easy to retrace your steps. And the color palette is weirdly dour with a lot of beige and gray, which makes it look a bit old-timey, which is the goal, but also makes it near impossible to tell grasslands from deserts, and makes all of the water look a bit like the Thames. Also, there aren't enough coins, particularly for 4 players, so you will be forever trading in for higher denominations. On the positive side, the old-timey look does give it all a cool aged treasure map feel. The cards are all nice solid quality. The wooden bits are good, especially the towers. Once you get to the last round, this is a surprisingly Instagrammable game. And the rules and icons are terrific. After 7 or 8 games, we have yet to look up anything for clarification.
We are suckers for a map game. Trails of Tucana and Explorers are two of our favorite flippin' rights, and the Guild of Merchant Explorers does a nice job of building on those themes and adding something a little bit different. And speaking of flippin' right games, TGOME really does feel like kind of a deluxe version of the genre, and like most flippin' right games, it is both super accessible for new gamers and has that little tinge of play it againness that keeps you coming back for more. It's important to note that lack of interaction, however, which we do see as kind of a plus, but many might see as a minus. And while it is something that you will often play back to back, it is also a game that won't change wildly between plays, although those special powers do go a long way towards fixing that. But if you want a satisfying cubes on a map game with a nice hook and an impossible to remember name, the Guild of Merchant Explorers is worth the journey. And that is it. Have you played the Guild of Merchant Explorers? What did you think? And what other map games would you recommend? Please let us know in the comments, and please do like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you all next time for another game.